Chris Froome and the Jayco Herald Sun Tour have history.
Here comes Froome. He's heading towards the line now.
When Froome rode the race in 2008, he finished fourth and attracted little attention.
Born in Kenya and he's still just a young man with such a huge future.
But in 2016, all eyes will be on the biggest name in world cycling.
Chris Froome has toppled all of the men of the Tour de France today.
A dual Tour de France winner, this is where his campaign for third Tour starts. Like the clocks watching over Flinders Street Station, where the race gets underway, the world will be watching as Froome heads through the Victorian countryside before a final test up Arthur's Seat. The world's best cyclist is ready for Australia's oldest stage race.
The central business district of the city of Melbourne are playing host for the third year in a row to Australia's oldest stage race. It's the 63rd running of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Hello everybody, I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me is Scott McGrory. Well, I guess everybody, although the race is over 5 days and is the oldest, we're all talking about the arrival of the Tour de France winner, Chris Froome.
Two-time winner and current Tour de France champion Chris Froome. It's gaining so much international media interest this year as well, such as the importance, I guess, of Chris Froome. Can he win the race? Look, I think he can. He won 2 stages of his first tour in the 2015 season. Yeah. This is the first race for him this year, so we're unsure about his form, but he's just a quality athlete, so I think you'll be looking forward to that final stage up Arthur's Seat.
Well, this evening it all gets underway with a short time trial, 2.1 kilometres. Chris may find this course a little bit tricky and the weather is also threatening, but let's hear from the contenders themselves.
The prologue of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. It's going to be fun and fast out there tonight and hopefully we can get a good result.
Chris Froome!
It's technical, it's pretty tight, pretty twisty, and it's only 2 kilometres, so it's going to be pretty flat out.
You know, hopefully I can go one better. Will Clark's not here, so I don't think he's here anyway. Wait, no, is that him? Yeah, actually he's here. So I'm going to have to try to beat him this year.
It's quick, it's basically over before you know it, so you just got to start fast and try and hang on, I think is the key to this course. Yeah.
You want to start the tour on the right track, and you know, if you put on a good show and a fast time, you know, it gives you the confidence for the next 4 days.
Yeah, no, it's good to be out here. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. There's loads of people who have come out to watch the race this evening, so hopefully it'll be a good event.
Well, of course, those are just some of the contenders, but the race itself starts here, but it's based over 5 days. It's quite an interesting route this year.
It's almost like the Tour of Gippsland, isn't it, Phil? Because stage 1, they do go down towards Healesville. Nasty climb at the end of that stage, which may set things up. Then it's down to Moe, and then down towards the coast and down to Inverloch before coming to that final big stage, the grand final, up Arthur's Seat on Sunday. It's going to be a fantastic race.
It is, and as always, the big Queen stage is the last stage of the race. But what about tonight? It's only short, 2.1 kilometres, but in such a short race, it can be crucial, can't it?
Well, it starts in Fed Square, and the weather's a little bit uncertain at the moment, so hopefully it does stay dry, and they go across the Ret Yarra River, down past the boat sheds, and then that 2.1 kilometre sprint all the way down South Bank to the finish line. It's going to be tight, very fast. It's a powerful rider that's very good technically as well that'll get the win.
All right, well, one man who knows all about the course and just the man to talk tactics is Pat Shaw.
Tactics for today's prologue will be about cornering, knowing when to exit out of the corners and how hard to go. Those accelerating to the line will definitely do well in tonight's stage. But you cannot be weak. You've got to take risks. Risks will be rewarded, and if you take those risks, I reckon you'll find yourself on the podium.
Well, Patrick Shaw there. We'll find out now because this is Patrick Shaw. He'll be the 7th rider to start of the 96. He gets the count.
Well, tricky conditions as well for these first riders because there has been some slight drizzle on the course, and you can see with the cobblestones and the bricks, it could get quite slippery. But Pat Shaw underway now on the very tricky course. He will take all of the risks, Phil, because he wants to perform well. He's had a good start to this season.
Down onto the banks of the Yarra here, takes that corner pretty wide now, but he accelerates away. Back to the start house. This is the Australian road race champion, Jack Bobridge here. He makes the start, and Jack looking for a good result this week.
A little bit tentative around that first corner, but he's the world record holder for the 4,000 metre individual pursuit. This is only over 2 kilometres, but it is well suited to his type of attributes.
The riders all starting 45 seconds apart, all 96 of them. We catch up with Patrick Shaw now. He's in the straight here. This is a flat-out blast right down the banks of the Yarra on the south bank of Melbourne. His time at the kilometre was good, and it could set a new marker here as he comes up to the line, hits the line, and his time 2:42.1, good enough to take the lead, but he is only the 7th man off.
Well, the next big contender to take to the start line is Pat Shaw's teammate from Avanti ISOA, Robbie Hucker, the former mountain biker. Now, he rode for the Drapac cycling team last year, had a lot of health problems, but he's also been very strong all throughout January this season.
So Hucker's made his start. Jack Bobridge is still to finish up front.
That was close, Phil. Did you see that? He almost hit the barriers as he went round the corner there, so he's taking a lot of risks as we now see Jack Bobridge, the Aussie road champ, powering into this headwind up this very difficult long straight to the finish.
Look at the face of Jack Bobridge here. He really wants to do a time here. The crowd shouting him up the south bank here. It seems an awful long way to that line, but when you hit it, you're rewarded with the best time, 2:40.36.
The champion of Australia.
Fantastic performance from Bobridge, and it was something we expected from him. Dion Smith now riding for the new professional Continental outfit, One Pro Cycling. He's the big Kiwi, and also one of the riders that we have heard is really well suited to this short 2-kilometre circuit.
He's dodging the barriers. This is the situation on the stage. Bobridge in with the best time. Pat Shaw there in second place at the moment, but judging by the kilometre marker, Robbie Hucker coming through here is going to reset the leaderboard if he's kept it going all the way along the south bank. 200 metres to go. He could be the first man inside 2:40. He's seen the clock, he's seen the line, he has done it. 2:37.48. That is a fantastic ride. 2.5 seconds outside the course record.
Well, Hucker's teammate Shaw spoke about the risks you need to take, and Robbie certainly took them, clipping the barriers all the way to the best time.
Yeah, I was really happy with that. I wasn't expecting to come through the best time. It was more about just limiting my losses today, and getting a good start off to the tour is great. So, yeah, can't be better happier than that.
Well, I reckon with a time like that, you're not going to go out too far behind whoever leads today.
Yeah, we'll see. There's some good bike riders to come yet. So, yeah, like I said, I'm happy with that. So it's a good start.
Certainly is. ISOA, the Avanti squad here, they've got 2 riders on the podium. They're split by Jack Bobridge. The opening day of 5 on the Jayco Herald Sun Tour taking place on a location next to Melbourne's Yarra River on South Bank. This is one of the city's most popular dining meccas. The South Bank restaurants are always bustling with life, and you can bank on the fact that these restaurants will treat you to an unforgettable meal. And back in the start house now, next to go of the 96 riders is New Zealand's Sam Bewley.
And you can just see the tyre tracks coming down the start ramp there, so there is still a little bit of moisture on the ground, making it slippery for the riders. And Bewley was 4th in the Prologue time trial last year, so we'd expect him to do a good ride again this time.
Well, he knows the time he's got to shoot at now, and that's of Robbie Hucker, who's in the finish with 2:37.48. As we go back to the start house now and watch the start here of young Lucas Hamilton. Big moment for this rider. He rides on the Australian national team here. He's a youngster.
He's only 19 years of age and a fantastic climber. Don't expect him to do too much over a 2-kilometre time trial like this, but just wait until the race goes out into the hills around Victoria. That's when he'll come into his own.
The corner catches them all out. A very tight left-hander there to bring them along, but we'll go back up towards the finish now. This is Sam Bewley now. He's aiming at the 2:37. He was pretty well up on it at the 1-kilometre marker. Has he held his pace towards the line? Robbie Hucker's sitting at the finish watching and wondering. A big drive by the big man from New Zealand on the Orica Green Edge squad. A lunge to the line, every second counts here, but this won't matter because Bewley's time is 2:39.03. He goes into second.
Jesse Kerrison now from State of Matter Map. Now he's the Australian Under-23 Criterium champion. So he's very fast and he's good around corners. So he should be well suited to a circuit like this.
Yes, you can tell a circuit race champion the way he got around that bend to start off. Nice crowd back in Federation Square. Another little view of him as he makes that sharp left-hander onto the River Yarra. There's the boys at the finishing house. Bewley nearest camera, now in second place. Dion Smith, the other rider, looking at him. Lucas Hamilton coming home. A little bit off the pace, I think, though it's a very good time for such a young rider. might bode well for the future as he races up towards the line. I think Hooker's time is going to be pretty safe. He's a few seconds off the mark here. Stops his own computer, but his time is 2:48.57.
Certainly not well suited to this kind of course, but a rider that is the next rider up from Avanti ISOA Sport, Neil van der Ploeg. And you can see the urgency when he started then, Phil. He wants to perform well.
Well, the Avanti man has got two teammates on the stage back down there at the finishing line at the moment in Shaw and Hooker. And he's always a man for the surprises. He's a bit big to get round this corner, a little bit of a wobble, but he's done it pretty well as he straightens up for the finish. Meanwhile, Jesse Kerrison is almost home here. It's going to be a good time. It's not going to be the best, but he's getting in there as he continues to spin. It's a long way here up to the finishing straight. The crowd mesmerised. They all come out of the restaurants to watch the riders coming in. Each of the men dispatched at 45-second intervals. And as I say, it's a long way. Jesse Kerrison, 2:39.36.
Best for second best at this point. Not quite good enough to get the better of Robbie Hooker, though. But the big favourite, the defending champion from the Prologue from 2015, next to start, the big Tasmanian Will Clark.
Yes, and he's the 45th man to go of the 96. So whatever he does, he's going to have a long wait to see if his time is good enough. Will Clark was superb a year ago. There was some doubt he was going to turn up for the start here because he hasn't been riding that well. The team have rested him. But the news was he's actually going well in training. He's in the race and he looks to me as though he's full of fire here. It was a brilliant ride last year. His nickname is the Horse and he's got a lot of strength in those legs.
Well, Neil van der Ploeg also with a lot of strength out of the saddle. Everyone else has been in the saddle fighting to the finish, but van der Ploeg sprinting to the line. Fantastic time for him as well.
2:36.71. Van der Ploeg go up on the podium there. He's done a terrific ride. Well, at the moment it looks pretty good because the conditions clearly harder than last year.
Yeah, look, I believe so. I think you're on the money there. It's pretty windy out there. There's a little bit of rain spitting as well, so yeah, it's kind of good. Mother Nature's throwing a bit of a random factor in there. Hopefully there's now a massive headwind that just charges down.
Well, that's a new time. Neil van der Ploeg now right in the middle in the winner's seat. Well, at least that's what he hopes it will be as we go down to the start house. 2 kilometres away, this is Niccolo Bonifacio, the Italian on trek. A little bit of a wheel slip there, but he's out of the saddle and away.
You can see the treacherous conditions. He's a bit of a pocket rocket, this one. He was really good last week at the Cadell Evans Great Ocean Road Race, but this is also a great effort. Will Clark coming to the finish.
Now this is the drive because we know that Will Clark has done the best time so far at the 1 kilometre checkpoint. How's he fared in the remaining kilometre towards the finish? This is the man who won a year ago. Will Clark has set a terrific time. It's a course record and it's quicker than it was when he won a year ago.
I hope to go faster than last year. I think, you know, it's a good time, but there's still some quality riders to come, so, you know, hopefully it's good enough, but, you know, I have to wait now. The nervous part, you know, it's nervous before. Now I've got like 45 minutes of waiting, so just have to sit tight.
Well, with a finish like this at 49 kilometres an hour, he's now the man to beat. Welcome back to the Prologue time trial in the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. You know, you can board one of the many rivercraft at Southgate or Prince's Walk, or travel along the Yarra in your own boat to visit attractions such as Melbourne Park for the Australian Tennis Open, the Royal Botanic Gardens and Herring Island Park. The Yarra River is now the undisputed social heart of marvellous Melbourne. And so far, Will Clark is the undisputed leader of this race because he set a course record. Now he's waiting to see what the remaining riders can do.
Chris Hamilton, one of the riders that's waiting to get onto the climbs of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. All smiles on the start line. And he's the Australian under-23 road champion, recently crowned in Ballarat only a few weeks ago. So he's on great form. Let's see how he can negotiate himself around this tight circuit.
I think Chris will just want to do a good time here to get him out onto the open road. Every second counts in a stage race, of course. So we now see Patty Lane here make his start. He's on good form too.
change of team for this year for Paddy Lane to the Avanti ISOA team, and certainly has had some good form over the last couple of weeks and performed very well last weekend at the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race Classic. And now from Team Sky, Luke Rowe. He'll have a big job this week riding for the stars of the team, but he's on his own at the moment. Let's see what he can do around the 2 kilometres.
Well, the Welshman's hoping to support Chris Froome as the race unwinds, but right now it's just the time required. Makes that left-hander onto the banks of the River Yarra. Still staying at the start house here, this is Alistair Donohoe.
Now, he's the world paracycling champion. Also a very handy cyclist riding for the Cortamentha national team this week. And you can just see the way he flicks it around the corners there. Pretty good on his bike as well.
He's a very aggressive bike rider, this young man. And he's out to try and send himself a good time here. But down at the finishing line, you know, watching the riders come and go, and Will Clark is staying on top. And here's the next one. Now this one's a good rider, Luke Rowe. Hits the line, it's not going to be good enough. Sigh of relief though from Will Clark, 2:40.98. That'll do, he stays on top.
And Robbie Hucker holds on to third best for now. Neil van der Ploeg, his teammate, sits in second. And now one of the favourites for the overall classification, Peter Kenyon, the Welshman, the British road champion. And you could see very animated when he came down the start line there and up to speed. It's about minimising his losses in this time trial. Not expected to go for the win here, but he wants to stay right up there in contention for the overall.
He's got a fast pair of legs, there's no doubt about that. The last 2 years, the British road race champion and the winner only a couple of days ago of the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Classic in Geelong.
Joe Cooper, the big Kiwi now for the Avanti ISOA Sport team. They're certainly performing very well, the entire team. They've got so many riders now in contention in the top 10. And former New Zealand time trial champion, he was third in the time trial only a couple of weeks ago in New Zealand. So he's still on reasonable form. It's perhaps a little bit short for the big Kiwi. He likes the 30 and 40 kilometre time trials. 2K though, maybe we'll see how he goes.
Down to the finishing line now, Peter Kenyon coming up towards the line here, the British champion. It's going to be a reasonable time by him. It's not going to topple Will Clark, but it's going to be a good time that'll keep him up amongst the running. And probably as far as favourites long-term go, he's got himself the hot spot there. 2:39 as he crosses the line. He'll be pleased enough with that.
I think he will be, Phil. As you say, it didn't upset anyone in the top 3. But from the overall contenders, the guys that can get up the climbs later in the week, Peter Kenyon has really put himself in a good position.
Now here's a man who's done it all before, Damiano Cunego, with every respect. A little bit long in the tooth now as he says goodbye to a great career, but he did once win the Tour of Italy and 4 stages and the one-day classics like the Tour of Lombardy and the Amstel Gold. Cunego on course, a big name, sadly, of the past.
You say he's done so many things in the past. I think it's been a long time since he's done a 2 kilometre time trial, Phil. Joe Cooper, though, on form, looking good. He's certainly coming home towards the end. His intermediate split wasn't great, but it seems as if he's really powering towards the line in the second half.
Well, as he comes up towards the line here, he's looking for a place in the top 6 with a time like this, if he can confirm it. Look at his jaw set there, hits the line. He's gone over in 2:38.79. That's going to give him a good finish.
Cunego now somewhat slower as he came across the line, a fair way down the standings as expected.
The leaders stay the same, Clark, van der Ploeg, Hucker. Well, there he is, Chris Froome in the start house, the second last of the 96 riders to go in this opening prologue of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. And the crowd will give him a big send-off here, whatever he does.
Well, he is the star of the show in this year's edition of the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, the reigning Tour de France champion. Not perfectly suited, Phil, to this 2 kilometre course, but he'll be trying to limit his losses, and he just cannot wait to get out there onto the open roads and show what he can do when it goes uphill.
Hasn't raced his bike for 5 months. His wife's had a baby in between. 45 seconds behind him, a nice wave to the crowd. Caleb Ewan, second last year by a single second to Will Clark. And Clark has already finished and been waiting nearly 40 minutes at the other end with the best time.
Cautious on the way out of the start house there as well. And now Chris Froome, that familiar awkward style that he has, but he does ride with such efficiency.
That high cadence as he races up towards the line, the crowd recognising the 2-time winner of the Tour de France. the part-way time is telling us this is not going to be outstanding by Chris Froome. Those rusty legs need to get a bit of practice in. Look at his face as he pushes home. 25th best time, 2:42.1.
But significantly only 8 seconds behind the best time of Will Clark, and we know how much better Chris Froome will climb, so it's not too bad. This one is good though. Caleb Ewan tucked down, going as hard as he can. He's close to the best time.
Clark has waited 38 minutes and nobody's beaten his time. He's watching this like we are. Caleb Ewan is coming up. He's going to lose again, and he's going to get a time 0.8 of a second slower than Will Clark. That'll be rounded to a whole second. It's a complete repeat of 1 year ago. Caleb Ewan will be second again with a great effort like this.
Well, he went faster than he did last year, and you can just see the skip of the wheels as he's coming across the line. There's such commitment. A good performance by Froome, a much better performance by Will Clark.
And this is the man who has won the day for the second year in succession. Will Clark is back.
What an incredible ride that was.
Well, you look like the same two guys that were standing here just 12 months ago. Exactly the same result. You're split by a second, Will.
Yeah, it was close again. It was nearly exact same time difference, I think, between us as last year. So I think we both went a little bit quicker. But yeah, it was a pretty nervous wait for me the last sort of 40 minutes, waiting till Caleb came through.
I don't know if you'd really count it as a proper time trial, but yeah, you know, I think prologues is something that I want to do well in the future, because you know, if I start a big tour and it starts with a prologue, I want to hopefully, you know, be up there within the leaders. So if it comes down to a sprint, maybe I can take a leader's jersey as well.
Confident young man he is, but the same one too as a year ago. Will Clark is the man who'll go out now in the yellow jersey of race leader when we move down to Hillsville for a circuit race there of about 3.5 hours. And no Mount Macedon this year, so Will Clark is confident he might keep this leader's yellow jersey, at least for a day. The race finishing on Sunday on Arthur's Seat. Let's have a look at the situation as to how it ended today in the prologue time trial. It was only 2.1 kilometres, a 5-second spread amongst the top 10. Will Clark, Caleb Ewan, Neil van der Ploeg. They were the headliners, but will they be that way when they get to Arthur's Seat on Sunday? Tomorrow it's day 2 and the opening road race stage. We're based in Hillsville. Can Will Clark do it? Find out tomorrow night. For Scott McGrory, I'm Phil Liggett. Goodbye for now.